people with a plan end up with a lot more assets. In fact, the stat is that after just 15 years, people end up with 4 times more assets, which is crazy. Now, my experience was after 10 years, it was a 10x difference between me and a friend that I started working with. So just crazy. So Jono, Caesar, and I have been working on building Canwi, which enables anyone to be able to build a financial plan at home and run the numbers on financial decisions before they hit them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll jump into it.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start from the beginning. Once you come into Canwi, there is an onboarding workflow, which for the sake of time we've skipped today, but it will introduce quite a few topics and basically get out of you your goals, your family, and your current financial position. So your income. In this example, we have Mark Scout and Helly R that are coming up with this plan together. Their living expenses, and any other assets and liabilities that they have as well. So pretty basic information, but it then allows us to be able to go through and get to the actual meat and potatoes of the tool, which is where we can then start to use those numbers as well as events, which we're going to drag on to this timeline to start to model how your decisions are going to impact your financial future. So to begin with, we actually would start by setting some milestones.
And these are all configurable. So you can set these to whatever you want. You could set it to, for instance, your net worth in 15 years' time, or it could be when you hit a net worth target. Maybe you're interested in when you're going to have 2.5 million net worth, or when you're going to be debt-free.
Mm-hmm. And we also update these real time. So as you slide anything around or bring in new events that we can see here, we have events to do with growing your family, work events such as getting promoted or potentially even going down to part-time, vehicle purchases, investing, property, and a bunch of others. But in the example here, we actually have the purchase of an investment property. So do you want to...
Yeah, and everything here is configurable. So if you're buying investment property as an event that you want to have in your plan, you can configure the budget. We'll calculate things like stamp duty for you, but you can also configure that. You can configure the asset ownership, so who's going to own it. And you can also configure the mortgage amount as well. Should probably add Helly to that.
Actually, this is meant to be a... anyway, and after you come in, we can show you a whole bunch of other information, such as the upfront cost, the monthly repayments, and everything else to do with this decision. And if we then save... Oh, okay, perfect. That actually... Why did that change the...
tax deductions?
Maybe. Actually, yeah, fair. Okay. Go figure. So now we can actually see, so here what we actually did is go into the yearly financial breakdown, and here we can see that for the tax for that year, the deductions are now being split across 2 people, so that is actually having a material difference on the plan. Anyway, here the brief example, we just have the purchase of investment property, but also the setting of a budget, and we can see that the purchase of the property actually generated a cash alert that we're drawing down almost 240,000 on the savings for Mark and Helly. And so, but that is taking into account the fact we've set a budget. So if we were to just move that many years in the future, we can see that we have the numbers above, the milestones being updated real time and showing the impact of your decisions. And not only that, but we can see that the cash alerts continue to the point that we actually run out of cash. So the adding of a budget basically lowers the expenses that you added in the onboarding flow and makes it so this is actually a financial decision that could be made by the couple in question. But if we now move to a much more populated plan, we can see actually the zoomed out overview is quite good for this. We have life events going down the entirety of the plan, even to the point where we get to both Mark and Helly retiring and drawing down on their assets for the remainder of the plan. But if we come back into the board to start make a bit more sense of it, we can see that there's some investing, there is some holidays, the purchase of a home, a gift from the bank of mum and dad, and even having a child, if you want to.
Yeah, and in Canwi, we break down things like have a child into all the different life stages that a child goes through, so pregnancy and birth, all the way through to the early years, childcare, primary school, high school, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And if we jump into something like childcare, for instance, you'll see that we're calculating things like the childcare subsidy here.
Mm-hmm. And even to the point where we can then also logically, around about the same time, take parental leave. Similarly, you'll find in most of the life events in Canwi, we try to provide bite-sized pieces of information. And here it's just little tidbits, as well as then asking who's going to be the person on leave, how long that leave is going to end up being, what part of it is employer funded, what part of it is unpaid. And then we even do the calculations for you based on that unpaid time off to determine how much you'd be able to get from the government for your parental leave as well. That's a...
Yeah, I think probably the last thing just to quickly touch on is there's also the plan details. So if you are like me and you've ever tried to do this in Excel, then this will be very familiar to you. So you can think this is basically like your Excel view that's got your cash flow over time. You can export it to CSV as well if you want to look at it in a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you've ever wanted to run the numbers on different financial decisions and build a financial plan yourself at home, or haven't been able to afford the cost of seeing a financial planner, then this is what we're building.
Yeah, the tool's free. We'd appreciate any and all feedback. You can find us in the comments wherever this video is going to live, on Discord, messages, whatever it is. We appreciate anyone that wants to come check out the tool and be part of the journey with us.
Thanks.
Cool. Cheers.